So this past week, I think like 25 to 30 people went down to Mexico to build a house for a family, right? And then Lila and I think also David is going to share with us about what happened there. All right, take it away.
Okay, good morning, everybody. So I wrote it down so I can have my ideas together. So what I wanted to share with you is that when Pastor John invited us to attend this missionary trip, we thought about taking just Gabby, because, like taking a 2-year-old, it was probably not as safe. But as the week was going along, I was thinking, to leave Christopher, I was leaving him with my husband, but he's very attached to me, so we decided that, you know what, I'm just going to take a chance, and I'm going to take him with me. And God will lead us, the right path. So, Gabby, on the other hand, she was super excited about the trip. She was telling everyone that she was going to build a house, and she was all excited. I personally was having a struggle in saying that I've been an irresponsible parent, or that I've been a responsible parent exposing them to this type of experience. So, as I was saying, I had mixed feelings about the trip, and as an apprehensive mother, I also was feeling like taking them to this community. Someone might want to take my kids, because I always feel like someone want to take my kids because they're so precious. However, I also feel it was a good opportunity to show Gabby how blessed we are and the importance of sharing with our blessings with others less fortunate. I must admit, I didn't realize how rewarding what this trip was going to be. Keep in mind, this is not the first time that we do charity work in Mexico, us as a family. Our journey to Mexico was not challenging, as it was for the rest of the team. However, on Friday, I was only able to sleep for 3 hours because I found out that the rest of the Trinity team got lost and they didn't know where they were in Mexico. And I was thinking, oh my God, please don't let something bad happen. And they were not able to get a hotel until 3:30 in the morning. So they only slept 2 hours, David? So for me and my family, it was very safe and secure because we didn't struggle with any of those challenges. Anyhow, the next day, when I woke up, I felt, happy on the fact that even though that they struggled, they made it to a safe place, and we were going to be able to make something nice for our family. And that night, a family was going to be able to have a house. Then, as the next day when we meet with the team, I was very amazed that the group, everybody had a really good attitude. Let's go this, get that. No one was complaining or feeling tired, so that was pretty powerful. And seeing the youth group working together on building the house was very powerful, and I realized, this is a great group that is possibly influenced my daughter. I'm sorry. Okay, the lesson of the day for me when we were building this house for Phil and his dad and his stepmom was to realize that for Gabby, I think she realizes that we all are the same on the eyes of God. I always want her to realize how important is it, how privileged she is, and I feel like she doesn't get it. But then I learned, no, it's not like she doesn't get it. It's that for her, it's other friends. So she wants to go and visit Phil again in Ensenada, right? Instead of seeing them as, these poor people. That was a learning experience for me. So anyways, on Sunday, our last stop was on the small orphanage. It was very moving to see everybody bringing happiness to these kids that have been left behind by their parents. Many of these kids have parents that are struggling with addictions, are not capable of supporting them. Some of the kids have contact with some of their parents or relatives. However, there are many kids that have no one to visit them because the family is not interested. I'm sorry, I got lost. One of the thinking points for me in that experience was that to realize that here I was with all these anxieties, thinking that someone want to take my kids, and realize there are kids that the parents have no interest in being involved with them. And being able to see that how much meaningful it is to spend time with them, to go actually visit them and play with them and spend time with them is more powerful than just simple donations. Don't get me wrong, it's a wonderful gift being able to donate to do God works, But it's a completely different story when you are able to go and touch and see how God works through you, bringing happiness to others. So what I want to leave you today is to please consider once in your lifetime to take your family and go and do this type of experiences, because it changed your life. I know you probably have a lot to share too, especially in the orphanages, to realize that the kids, they're not craving so much toys, they're craving love.
Morning, church. As soon as I heard about the building a building, I signed up because I love building stuff. And I invited my dad and my uncle, who's visiting from Mexico. And so we headed up, and on Friday night traffic, so I knew we were going to not get a lot of rest. So actually, I tried to rest as much as I could. And during one of the gas stops, while I was resting, I suddenly felt a thumb putting a cross on my forehead. And I was awake, and I'm like, okay, what's going on? And I saw an image of a hand being placed on my head, a right hand being placed on my head, and I could feel the palm and the thumb on my head. And then I saw an image of Jesus behind the hand, and then I saw him leave. And then I was like, okay, that was strange. Never experienced that before. And it was a blessing not only for me, but also for the rest of the team. So it's like, okay, well, that's a good start. And so we got there, we got lost, and I had my dad and my uncle with me in the car. And then, they've never been on mission. They're not really part of the church. They're skeptical of the church, in general. And I sympathize with them because that was me not too long ago. So they started kind of grumbling and complaining. I'm like, uh-oh. But it was a good opportunity because what I've learned is when you're on mission and you do work, the work isn't necessarily important. It's the community and the communion with each other. And that's what's important. Relationship is important. So anyhow, we got to talk through that, and we finally got to the hotel. We didn't get to sleep that much. The next day was time to build a house, and we were running late already. We only had like 4 hours to build a house, and I didn't go to the first part where they had already pre-assembled it, so I didn't know how everything was going to come together. And we were kind of skeptical, like, oh, I don't know that we're actually going to be able to build a house in 4 hours. But we actually did. We actually finished even sooner. Everybody helped. Little kids, everybody was helping. My dad, he's a construction worker, and he was just, like on top of everything. He was doing really well, and he really enjoyed himself. In the evening, we had a fireside chat where we kind of talked about things, and we highlighted each other. And, we went around in a circle. And one of the things that, when it was my dad's turn, he thanked, me for bringing him here. He wanted to highlight me, and he wanted to, thank the team, for all the work they were doing. And then he kind of stopped, and he kind of choked up, and he couldn't continue anymore. And my dad has a big heart, and excuse me. And he really felt God's heart, that weekend and stuff. And that's what I wanted him to experience. That's what I wanted my uncle to experience. And the ministry leader, he said, we think we're going to change the world by building a house, And it was great. We got to meet the family. We got to talk to Domingo and his son. It was awesome, and it's going to make a difference, But the guy who was in charge, he was like, what if the house burns tomorrow? Then what, And so, it's like, we think we're going to go change the world by building this house, and really, it's, our own hearts that are getting changed, and that's where the real work is done, and that's how the world's going to change. And they have a psalm up on the wall, and it's Psalm 115, and it says, "Not to us, Lord, not to us, but your name be the glory." Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lila and David. Lila, you said something that really struck me when you said, it's one thing to give donations, that's good. It's another thing to show up in person. And that's what Christmas is about. It's about the God who came down from heaven to be with us, to see us, to touch us, that we might touch God. And that changed everything, didn't it? And so we've been thinking through this sermon series during Advent about what it means to live incarnationally, to be present with people. And so we would encourage you over the holidays to consider, rather than just kind of sending a card or a text to somebody, how much margin can you create in order to be with people in the flesh? Because it makes a difference. That's how we love people, right? So thank you for supporting the work of the church, for being part of this body.